talent show, I hear, which is an annual treat. And I hear this year there was a little dancing going on, so congratulations to you as well. Was Mrs. Scripture there too? Oh, great. Awesome. Awesome.
Look at the color of her face right now.
I want to thank the Youth Assistance Group who held its annual Youth Recognition Awards and honored several students. Nasaya Shea from Farmington High School, Gahari Kathy Reeson from Farmington High School, and forgive me if I butcher the names, Eleanor Tipton from Power Middle School, Cassette Eileen Taylor from North Farmington High School, and Adam Stephen Michaels from Farmington High School. These young people do an incredible amount of volunteer work at church, at Operation Common Good, a variety of different areas. And so I'm just really appreciative of that organization honoring those students. In addition to that, some groups also got some recognition. Farmington High School PTSA student leaders got recognized for their work in doing very small things to create an impact around high school and making just special light and school spirit. Motions, Samantha, Alana, and Cheyenne Weems. There is a little relation there. They were recognized for starting a nonprofit organization to feed 100 plus families every Thanksgiving. I was really proud of them. And then the Hack Box got a group award as well for all of their great work. Community recycling drives, mentoring, tutoring, Tech Girls, RoboCamp, the list goes on and on. So congratulations to all of those students and for all of the great work that they're doing. I also wanted to make a quick announcement about the board accepting applications for an anticipated board vacancy. You'll recall that Dr. Turner was appointed first in 2015 and then elected in 2016 and then appointed in 2024 and appointed again in 2025. Thank you again for your service. Upon accepting the last appointment, Dr. Turner agreed to serve through June of 2025. So we're going to be selecting someone to serve the remainder of Dr. Turner's term, which goes through December of 2026. And you'll excuse me, I'm not sick, I have allergies. Although I was on a bus with 100 and some kids. So you might be sick.
I'll just sit with
I also want to acknowledge that one of our board members, Angie Smith, has filed paperwork to be a candidate for Farmington Hills City Council. So there may be another seat vacated that would need to be filled before the end of the year. The board plans to use this application process to identify candidates to fill Dr. Turner's seat and may also use this same candidate pool for any other seat that becomes vacant over the course of the rest of the year. And this will allow us to act swiftly in identifying successors. So I wanted to make sure that that announcement was made. We have posted the application along with that language about this pool being used throughout the rest of the year in a listserv. It was also included in the Oakland Press. I believe in May have already or will be in the Farmington Press as well. It is actually also on our website. So anyone who is interested, please go to the website for the application itself. We encourage all individuals with a passion for children and a commitment to community to please apply. Interviews are expected to take place between the first couple of weeks of June, but we won't know the exact schedule until we have closed the application process and know how many people have expressed an interest. And that's the point at which we'll be able to schedule interviews. But we do expect that they will happen in the first couple of weeks of June. We want to thank everybody in advance for their interest in serving our community and supporting our students. And then I just wanted to also acknowledge Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I hope that you are doing something this week to appreciate your teachers and your staff in your school buildings. And finally, the moment we have all been waiting for, pizza testers are testing. Pizza testing is coming up May 13th. So if any board members are interested in being a part of the taste testing for pizza, that bid will come to the board, I believe, before the end of the year. So this is the opportunity to actually participate in the taste test on the bid that you will be voting for. So I look forward to anyone who is available to participate in that. And that ends my announcements. All right. We will now move to public comment. This is the first of 2 public comment. Again, you get 1 opportunity to express public comment. If there is anyone who wants to have public comment now, please come up to the front with your card. I'm seeing no one so far. Going once, going twice. All right, that ends our first opportunity for public comment. We will have another one after discussion items. We'll now move to items from the Secretary. Dr. Turner.
Thank you. The board has received communications regarding May Farmington Public Schools International Baccalaureate News. The board acknowledges communication and responds when appropriate. A list of correspondences can be found on the board packet, accessible on the Farmington Public Schools website. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to legislative update.
Yes, there was some movement on the school aid budget, moves to the full Senate. Also, there is a student cell phone policy that is headed to the floor. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh, yes, the Congress considering cuts to Medicaid. This could have devastating consequences for children across Michigan and the nation. Here in Michigan, our schools receive more than $160 million in Medicaid funds to provide essential mental and behavioral health support to students who need it most. The majority of that funding goes to support for our special education students. So it's recommended that we contact our Congress people today and tell them not to cut Medicaid and to protect and support our students.
Thank you. We will now move to district updates. Dr. Coffin.
Thank you, President Weems. These past few weeks, as President Weems highlighted a few things, have been so rewarding for our school district as we celebrate the incredible achievements for our students and our staff. Highlights include the Longacre Legacy Status Celebration, which showcased our commitment to excellence, and the Student Roundtable Career Fair, which provided valuable networking opportunities for our students and for the community. Our FPS students also took the lead with the help and support of Mr. Smith and his team at the Student IDEA Conference, demonstrating their leadership skills and their innovative thinking. Thank you to all who took part in making this event so memorable for our students. We honored our outstanding students during the FPS Awards of Excellence, as President Weems referred to, and I was able to also participate in the mock interviews to prepare our students for their future endeavors. Thank you so much to Ms. Kenya Cadell for all of her work in creating such a fantastic experience for our 8th grade learners. In addition, our talented students captivated audiences with their musical productions over the last weekend, Frozen Junior at East Middle School and Once Upon a Mattress at Farmington High School. Our Visions Talent Show, as President Weems also kind of gave a little preview, was again a huge success, and certainly a shout out to Ms. Scripture and Trustee Smith for joining me on the stage as we did our own rendition of The Hustle. That's how we like to say it.
No pictures.
No pictures, yes.
Gotta be videos.
This week as we celebrate Staff Appreciation Week, I did want to take a moment to express my gratitude for each and every one of our dedicated staff members. Every day, they demonstrate passion for teaching and learning, going above and beyond to create a positive and nurturing environment for our students. Whether it's through the inspiring lessons, providing support, or fostering a sense of belonging, their efforts make a profound impact on the lives of those that we serve. We also recognize the vital roles played by our administrative staff, our support personnel, and all those who work tirelessly behind the scenes. Your contributions ensure that our schools run smoothly, allowing educators to focus on what they do best, teaching and inspiring the next generation. Thank you all for your dedication, resilience, and teamwork. Together, excuse me, we are building a brighter future for our students and for our community. We appreciate all that our staff do each and every day and are so proud of the talented and committed team that we have at FPS. In front of the board, you should see a T-shirt. This will be our gift to our entire staff. They will get theirs delivered sometime this week, but we also wanted the board to have something just to know that, it just reflects the work that we're doing in our district. Finally, our FPS Community Showcase is tomorrow. It's Wednesday, May 7th. We hope to see everyone at Farmington High School from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. to connect with our community. Find some time, stop by and visit it. Right now, over 135 vendor tables to learn more, not only about our schools, but to connect with businesses and our amazing nonprofit community organizations. And thank you also to the Board of Education for your ongoing support as we continue to celebrate and uplift the remarkable talents of our staff and students. Thank you. Next, we had on the agenda our PTA Council update. I don't think that Ms. Morse was able to make it.
Okay.
So if she happens to come in, we might want to switch that. So next, we have an update from Urban Learning. So I'd like to welcome Ms. Margaret Hendrickson, our Director of Curriculum Instruction, or I'm sorry, not Margaret, that's the next one. I would like to welcome Ms. Rhonda Henry, our Assistant Superintendent for Innovation and Strategic Initiatives, as well as Dr. Leah McConaughey, Chief Learning Officer with Urban Learning, to provide an update of the work happening across our district.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to welcome back Ms. McConaughey, one of our strategic partners with Urban Learning. And as you know, as a district, we are committed to reimagining what school can look like for every student. And Dr. McConaughey continues to engage our teachers in the important work of transforming student learning experiences. Our teachers are designing lessons that intentionally move from acquisition, meaning-making, to transfer experiences that are authentic for our students. Teachers are the foundation of this very important work, and we simply could not.
Oops, sorry. No. We're good? Okay, oh, sorry. Okay. Teachers are the foundation of this very important work, and we simply could not reimagine student learning experiences without them. You'll remember, as a board, Dr. Coffin engaged you in this book study, Extraordinary Learning for All, How Communities Design Schools Where Everyone Thrives. And the book study provides a shared language and direction grounded in three big ideas. First, that schools have a design and they can be redesigned. Second, that we must make big leaps away from outdated models of education. And third, the most effective way to make those big leaps is by engaging in a community-based design process that involves all of our stakeholders, students, educators, families, and leaders. Today we have a 10-minute presentation in which Dr. McConaughey will share the work that teachers are currently engaged in. And then I'll wrap up on how our partnership with Urban Learning connects to the development of a school design blueprint, and there'll be time for questions at the end. Okay?
Thank you so much, Board. We really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, update you on this incredible work. Dr. Coffin, Margaret Hendrickson, and new Assistant Superintendent Rhonda Henry, really appreciate your time. So as we think about, this has been the title. I've had 3 opportunities to speak with you over the last several years, and this has been the title every time, Innovate the Core. But we haven't really dug into what that word innovate means, and so I just want to spend a moment when we think about whether you are a Fortune 500 company or you are a nonprofit committed to changing the environment, changing social justice. Innovation is at the heart of what you do. Innovation is at the core. And when you think about that word innovate and the power of it, it is how people feel. That is what drives innovation. Companies or nonprofits that are successful, that set themselves apart, are constantly thinking about their people, their team, because we cannot just change the individual facilities. We can't just change the technology. We can't just change the material goods. We need to be thinking about people. How do people feel at the end of the day? How do your teachers, your administrators, your students, how do they feel at the end of the day? That is what drives innovation. Innovation is human-centered. It takes something, an idea, a tool, and it brings it to the masses. It's not about inventing something new. It's asking, how can we systematically and strategically change our environment? And we do that by investing in people. Apple didn't invent the MP3 player, but they innovated it. They did not invent the cell phone. They innovated it. They brought a tool to everyone, now for better or for worse, right? But we brought the tool, they bring the tool to the masses, even if it's an idea. As Farmington thinks about the lifelong learner profile, as you think about your mission, your vision, you're asking that question, how do we want our educators, our parents, our students in Farmington, how do we want them to feel? That is what drives true innovation. So again, Farmington didn't come up with the idea of the profile of a lifelong learner, but they are innovating it. You are bringing it to the masses as we work with people across the district in multiple ways with multiple entry points. Investing in your educators is at the core of this work, and it's so crucial because you don't just have energy to change a system. Changing a system takes a significant amount of energy. It takes willpower. It takes risk-taking. It takes people motivated to stand up and do the work. You don't just have that. That doesn't just fall from the sky. You have to generate it. And the work that we are doing, again, multiple different entry points that's happening across the district, that work is generating the energy, generating the willingness among the people who can make the change, and those are your educators. So we have investigations, a group that we work with very intensely once a month, and shout out to Mason, who is the student from Farmington High School who designed one of our investigations logos. But we asked the investigations teachers, again, we work with them very intensely once a month, how do you feel at this point? It was January. I feel inspired and motivated, like I'm becoming a better teacher. I feel like I want to be a teacher again. I haven't been feeling that recently. I feel more empowered and willing to take risks that make teaching and learning better for students. This is how a system changes. It's by investing in your educators. And I want to specifically call out a teacher who, Katie Krause from North Farmington High School, who I have seen just incredible transformations in, and more importantly, she has seen those transformations in herself. Pardon me. I have a QR code here so that you can hear her story. So she has been, at the beginning of this year, she said, you know what, Leah, I don't really know that I want to be a part of this work. I believe in this work, but this work is hard. This work is challenging, and I don't know that I can do it. And she stuck with it, and she kept going, and little by little, meeting by meeting, session by session, conversation by conversation, I ended up pulling her for several interviews. One of them you'll be able to see with that, the other one I haven't processed yet. But she talks about how when I'm just doing the teaching with lecture-based teaching, students, they're just another kid in the room and they know it. All they hear are teachers talking. All they see are worksheets. But when we shift to meaning making, which I'm so glad that Assistant Superintendent Henry brought that up, when we shift to meaning making, where we're putting students at the center, students come out of their shell because their voices are being heard. They feel like they're a part of the community. They feel like they are participating, they're collaborating, they're making connections that they never would have made with just a worksheet. And not only are we seeing the change in the students, but she is saying, I have never thought of myself as a leader, never thought of myself as impactful beyond the scope of my classroom. And so this video was seen by every North Farmington High School teacher. It's been seen by lots of other teachers across the district, and she said it was a really neat experience thinking of my video as making a difference for other teachers. This year has been a real confidence boost for me. So not only are we seeing changes for students and the student experience through the profile, but your staff portrait and profile. We're seeing those not just in investigations, but in other professional learning by the coordinators, coaches. We've got coaches, teachers, and administrators all collaborating together around this work, engaging in professional learning and facilitating professional learning. This work is aligned with your curriculum resource adoption. It's aligned with coordinator conversations and coaching cycles. And so the scope, the depth, and breadth of this work is truly growing. It's been astounding, and it is all captured on the FPS Innovate the Core website. All of these samples, all of these examples, shout out to Callie, who designed our second investigations logo, also from Farmington High School. And so we're tracking this in a number of different ways. The first one is in investigations, asking people, are you having conversations? What kinds of conversations are they? How are they happening? When are they happening? So people that I work with intensely are talking to people outside of our group so that ideas are spreading across the schools. Conversations are usually happening organically. They're water cooler conversations. They are oftentimes, and the majority of them are positive conversations. And so when we think about investigations teachers investing in those educators and helping them to spread the word, and just a quick comment as well from that same survey, teachers are talking to other teachers and prompting them, and the ones that are not working with us saying, wait a second, I want to be part of that work. What can I do to be a part of, they're hearing it from their colleagues, and they're saying, wait a second, I want to raise my hand, I want to step forward, I want to be activated in this process. That is how you change a system. We are also assessing or collecting data from teachers outside of investigations, again, to get their sense of what they're hearing, what they're feeling. So a quick quote from a teacher focus group, again, this person is not in investigations, saying that it's really helpful when we watched videos. I bet that they watched Katie's video, and it's really helpful to hear. So we are capturing stories of the teachers doing this work so that others can hear. We're also doing teacher surveys of all Farmington teachers, and there was a 10% increase in the number of teachers who feel that Farmington professional learning is collaborative, open-ended, and teacher-driven. There was a 10% increase from 2 years ago, which is fantastic. There was a 14% increase in the number of teachers who are saying that their school and the Farmington district approach to professional learning is well aligned with the profile, 14% increase. Now, the challenge is that we still have almost half of the teachers saying we feel like these initiatives will go away with time. So that's our challenge, is to stay true, to stay steadfast as we think about the shift from learning and focusing on learning, which is what we've been doing, as we start thinking about other areas of the district transformation model. And so I want to say thank you again for recognizing the importance and the value of investing in your educators as you continue this work.
And I just want to take a moment to make some connections with the school and district transformation model that Dr. McConaughey just shared with you on a bigger slide, and the school design blueprints that I know that the board has requested after engaging in your book study. We are in the process of developing our own school design blueprints, which is displayed here, and this is just an example of one. And as you can see from the top, we already have a clear mission and vision, articulated design principles, acquisition, meeting making, transfer, PAN, positioning, authenticity, and noticing. Our graduation aims is the profile, and what we want the profile to reflect the world that our students are entering, not the one that we grew up in. And as Dr. McConaughey described, our focus is on the student experience when you see this blueprint. Because how students experience learning. She talked about the feeling of learning. How relevant is learning for our students? How much ownership do our students have? Is that the center of system level change? And that's why we're investing in the high impact professional learning with urban learning, and the shift from simple content to applying ideas in new authentic ways is where deep learning happens. And it aligns directly with our vision of what school should feel like, not just for our students, but also our educators. And this is a paradigm shift, but it allows us to work and move towards a competency-based model that's focused on the mastery of skills, not time spent in a classroom. And we're asking now, what does school prepare students for? How are we already actively engaging them in shaping their own learning? And most importantly, how are we developing the skills and mindsets that will allow students to thrive in a world that we don't really know yet exists, especially with many of the professions our students will have. We don't know what those professions will be, so we have to really focus on mindsets and skills and how are we cultivating those skills. This is how we feel like we're going to make the big leaps, like the book talks about, and with your continued partnership and also focusing on a community design blueprint, we feel like we can get there. Thank you.
Are there any questions from board members?
I recently attended the cultural fair at Farmington High School, and if that isn't a powerful example of this work in action, I needed 4 more days to visit each of the students' tables. The students work together across grade levels, across courses. There were kids, in a group on their trifold board. One group of kids from the sociology class did the world religions part, and another group from the English class did another. I mean, it was amazing. And the students, the confidence in the students as they presented, they didn't just say, here, look at my, they had things on their devices, they had PowerPoints and whatnot, but they didn't point us in that direction. They asked, can I tell you about what I've learned? And it was just the enthusiasm, the depth and breadth of learning, the collaboration among students, teachers, phenomenal, so powerful. And also, this is not learning that the students are going to soon forget. They have established such significant, meaningful personal relationships with the content. And also, as I was talking to the students, they weren't just familiar with their own content, they were familiar with one another's content and were able to draw similarities and comparisons and see trends across multiple cultures. So it's really, really exciting to see this work coming to fruition in the experiences of our students and our teachers. Thank you.
So I'm a big fan of the work that has been going on with respect to this. I just want a clarification from the slide. We're still in phase 1. Am I understanding that correctly?
Oh, that's a great question. So as Dr. McConaughey said, we're investing in the teachers and creating these student learning experiences for the teachers. And that's where, we've really done it the right way, starting there. And that's the connection between her work is starting from the core. Now, the flexible time, space, grouping, reimagining roles, feedback and grading, that is also happening. But the focus of the work is at the teacher level and in the classroom and the student experience.
So I tend to be a little linear with my thinking about things. So we're obviously moving around through this grid in the various phases. Is there a point in time when we are firmly planted in any of the other phases where we can take what we've done with the teachers and now we're shifting the focus a little bit more to some of these other areas?
Yeah, and as Dr. McConaughey said, there's lots of different entry points for the learning that's happening across the district, and there are several cohorts who are ready for that next step. And I think when momentum happens when we see those worked examples and when those are ready to make that next step. So it's very authentic, but the point of showing this slide is that the most important is at the core instruction. Yeah. Oh, yeah, please. Please.
Thank you for that question. I also think we're at a point, like Assistant Superintendent Henry said, that people are now saying, well, wait a second, what about feedback and grading? They're telling us that they're ready to move on. So it's happening in pockets, but instead of us saying, okay, now it's time to, let's say, move to the next phase, we're getting them to tell us, we're ready to do this. Don't we need to make these changes as well? So it's generated from them.
So we're giving the teachers agency over their own learning like we want for our students. Got it.
That's a great way to put it.
I really like this because I also attended Farmington's Cultural Night. I don't even think the students realize that they're learning. I think that they think that they were there for fun. and it was a project. But I really don't think they realize, and sometimes you want to do that, because if you don't, you'll get resistance, and there was no resistance. I picked up and learned some things there myself that night. And the working relationship that they have with the staff, it's not a relationship like, oh, I feel like I got to do it, like I'm cleaning my room. The hands-on experience with not only the teachers, but they were educating their parents as well. That's where the community part comes in, with the community learning and, school community is your parents. And they were educating their parents. And the principal was like, both principal and assistant principal, it was like they were just there to make sure the lights stayed on. They were like, hey, how you doing? But moving on. So I appreciate the work that you're doing and bringing. I learned about other different countries and languages and different things that are going on throughout wherever, that they represent it. So I want to thank you for all of that and bringing the school community. When we talk about school community, we're talking about teachers, students, parents, and administrators. So thank you for that.
For the to complete all the 4 phases, how long do you think that will take? I know you said it's based on the student, but it's supposed to go organically. What's your time frame for that?
I'll be honest, that's a tough question to answer. I will say this before I sort of address that. I was part of a strategic team that was brought into 2 districts, one in Florida, one in Texas, and both districts independently on their own had started with elements of phases 2, 3, and 4 without gaining a firm foundation in phase 1, which is the core, the learning, the teaching, and the technology. And so they had brought in a strategic team saying, we're just not seeing the changes. 4, 5, 6 years later, we're not seeing the changes that we want to see. And I went in with some simple questions around, do you have a learning framework? Like Farmington has adopted the learning framework, acquisition, meaning, making, transfer. Do you have a learning framework? No. That might be why you're not seeing changes in learning. And so the reason that I wanted to contextualize it in that is it does take a little while to gain that foundation. Now, like we said, there are people who are ready to move on, so it won't necessarily be okay, everybody's there, but you will in the next, I would say, year or 2, start to have schools, maybe individual groups of teachers within schools, adopting practices from all of these. I always hesitate to give you want to, but you don't want to. So I would say that the more you can establish that firm foundation and the need, you don't have to give feedback and grading any differently when learning looks traditional. You don't have to group students in new ways when learning looks traditional. And so the more we can focus on that firm foundation in phase 1, that will be more of that impetus to move on. Great question.
I appreciate the questions from board members. I think we're all very interested in this more organic learning environment. I think all of us really appreciate the investments that we're making right now and are really pleased with the alignment of this work with what we all talked about a year and a half ago. We all still feel the sense of urgency, and I'm hearing that from my board members. And I feel it too. I'm usually the person that wants to, go and get things done. I think we all know too, though, that there is, it takes time to change culture, which is what we're doing here. And culture doesn't change overnight. That's the work that we've been doing for years now, and it may continue to take some time. But thank you for this update.
One more thing that I'd like to address. Dr. McConaughey, you pointed out in your remarks the importance of getting input from all the stakeholders in our community. And I'm really proud of the way that we here in Farmington, when we were first beginning our strategic planning committees, when we were first beginning our mission and vision work, when we were first developing the profile of the lifelong learner, we reached out and invited students, parents, teachers, community members who no longer have children or don't have children, in our schools, business members. We invited all stakeholders to join us in these conversations. So this work that you are helping us continue has grown from the voices of all the stakeholders in our community, and I'm really proud of us for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. We will now move to reports from board committees. I don't think we have any, but I'm pausing in case I'm wrong. Seeing none, we'll move to discussion items.
All right, so now I would like to welcome Ms. Margaret Hendrickson, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, Ms. Colleen Stam, our K-12 Math Science Coordinator, and Mr. Gabe Renaud, Math Educator at Farmington High School, to come to the podium and share information on the request for an AP Calculus adoption.
Good evening, Board of Education. As you know, I often stand up here in order to share our desire to bring new instructional resources to our classrooms that are in line with our current work, to make sure our teachers have what they need and our students have what they need. When we adopt new instructional resources, it helps bring a foundation for instructional equity within the district, but also provides resources that teachers can innovate within as we move forward in our mission, vision, and our profile of a lifelong learner. As the board is also aware, we do have a number of advanced placement courses as one part of how students augment their four-year course plan as they come from 9th to 12th graders, in addition to CTE, OSTC, ACE, the early college, all of those different things that we have. AP is one of those things that allows students to explore new topics or do deeper study. AP Calculus is one of those deeper studies. I think when we made proposals around EL skills block, around foundational skills about over a year ago, I said foundational skills is kind of like taking advanced placement calculus. So now I'm back here before you to specifically talk about advanced placement calculus. Alongside, why don't you both of you come up so that when you get your moment in the sun and questions, you can be here with me. So we've been offering AP Calc A, B, and BC for a number of years, and you can see here the course descriptions for AP as well as what we would hope students would know and develop understanding of, which for many of us is a foreign language, which is calculus. As we know, mathematics is its own language. As many of our AP courses, we've not had a new AP textbook for quite a while for calculus. The one we have is 2006, and it's no longer on the College Board list of approved books. Most of the texts that appear on their list are actual college texts, and they usually have 5 to 10 different texts depending on the course that they make a recommendation for. We include that on our syllabuses and our applications to the College Board that we have to do each year to maintain our standing. We looked at two specific books. The calculus for the AP course by Michael Sullivan and Kathleen Miranda is where we landed. And there were some specifics around the course scope and sequence alignment that we really appreciated. One, it is approved by the College Board, but also we find that it was in alignment with some supplemental resources we already have, as well as provides a more intensive way to not only review current content, but also have cumulative review of the content prior to the AP test. So what I do have, I wanted to allow Colleen Stam and Gabe in order to provide a little bit more context as they are closer to the work and thinking about why this is the right textbook for them.
Hi there. My name is Gabe Renaud, and I am a first-year teacher at Farmington High School. Next year, I'll be taking over teaching the Calculus BC course over at Farmington High. And a couple things that I wanted to mention, just that Megan King, who is the current teacher and who I'll be taking over the class for, what she's noticed this past semester is not only is the cumulative review very, very useful and seems like something that would be awesome for the students to have around this time when it comes to reviewing for the AP exam, which is just in a couple of days here. The chapters are just more aligned with how College Board presents the information online on AP Classroom. The chapters are aligned perfectly. So you don't have to say, oh, this was chapter 5 for us, or this is chapter 3 for us, meanwhile it's chapter whatever for them. A couple other things that Megan wanted to mention that I just thought I would make note of is that, you know, as was mentioned, the textbook that we currently have is from 2006. And since then, the College Board course exam description, the CED, has been updated twice at least since then, in 2016 and 2019. They've added specific things. A specific topic that Megan and I wanted to throw in there was several convergence tests. That's a Calculus 2 concept there. And just more of a focus on the big ideas. In 2019, they shifted to change, limits, analysis of functions. And one other thing Megan wanted to mention here is that the textbook has a pretty hummingbird on the cover, and she thought that that was something that needed to be mentioned and highlighted at the meeting.
As a biology teacher, I agree. Colleen, is there anything you would want to add?
Just to add on, Gabe and Megan are both from Farmington High School, but we have been in talks with Katie Krause, who you heard from Leah. She is in full support of this text too, as a resource to help her as she is teaching. This is for both our II.B. and VIII.C. course, so we have two different courses.
Mrs. Smith?
Thank you for enlightening us and telling us why we need this book, despite there's a pretty bird on the front, it's a pretty flower. Our AP students are doing a phenomenal job, and I wanted them to continue to have that same experience. And so you answered the question that I needed to know, why were we getting a new book? It is to enhance them and advance them. It's not because there's no pretty bird on the other book. As long as this keeps our students where they are and higher, and that's what my concern and question is. I had a daughter that went through AP classes, and what I appreciated is entering into her first year of college, she did not have to attend the freshman classes. So this is good to know that this book, and I'm just asking questions because the community does want to know. Why are we bringing this book in? And is this the best thing for us to do right now? So thank you.
I did have a, go ahead.
Every student gets a hard copy of the book? Okay. And then are there online resources to go along with it also, in teacher resource packets also that are aligned? And so you have lots of things to supplement it with or to bring the full experience. Okay.
Go ahead.
This is certainly not a criticism, more just simply a question. Is there a tickler that alerts us or other school districts to when College Board changes what they're looking for?
Yes.
Because the reason I'm asking the question is 2006 to 2025, that's a huge gap of time for no change to have been made. And so going forward, so that we don't have that kind of gap, I'm just curious, what's the process? Keep that from happening.
College Board does communicate ahead when standards change, and they have planned professional development that aligns to those changes, and people update their syllabuses to accommodate. So what we've been able to do is our teachers continue to go to the AP professional development when those changes occur. We just haven't always gone forward with the board for a new text. Sometimes an existing text stays on the College Board list for quite a while, and then there are times where those start to flip over. But we also know over the last 15 years that there's been different financial impacts that we've had over time where we weren't bringing a lot of new resources during the recession and following that, which is one of the reasons why we're accelerating this work right now to make sure that we're bringing a good foundational resource for students and for teachers. And so we pay attention. College Board is actually really good about advanced communication, documenting their changes, provided additional professional development, and we send teachers to the AP professional development given by the College Board anytime there are updates to the curriculum. And so our teachers have been able to make adjustments. When he was talking about, well, we have to go to this chapter versus this chapter, and we get to delete this because it's no longer on the scope and sequence, they make those adjustments. They just haven't always always had the text that's completely aligned, so they don't have to like move things around a little bit and bring in some supplements. So I'm proud of the way our teachers stay up on the knowledge. It's just we need to make sure that we're staying up on the most current resource that they can use.
Thank you.
Mr. Hull and then Mrs. Smith.
So with the AP test, I know that's coming up Thursday, according to my son.
Yes.
For the calculus for this new book, I won't say it's teaching towards the test, but most of the items that's on the test will be in this particular.
So
set.
all of the AP texts that we bring in have problems aligned to the content and aligned to the type of thinking that students will do on the test. My daughter is taking AP World tomorrow, and all of the tests and assessments that we give along the way are ways for kids to practice their knowledge, but also practice the thinking to apply on the test. Plus, the College Board online has test questions and supportive preparation for students, and so that's a solid part. We try to balance the preparation for the test with the joy of learning the deeper content, because the two can kind of get confused sometimes. So we try to make sure there's a high interest of inquiry into the content, but also making sure we're doing similar things during the school year to prepare them for that test.
And this text at the end in the green review pages, they actually have sample questions that show you how would you look and try this type of question on the test.
Mrs. Smith?
So I'm looking at the copyright. They had one in 2014, 2017, 2020, and 2024. When will we be getting another one? And can the community have a look at this book?
That book will be, again, in the instructional services, Suite 5. I keep all the texts between the discussion board meeting and the action board meeting for people to look at. Every publisher has their own cadence of when they get a new edition. To be declared a new edition, you have to have 20% of the content shift or change for it to be considered a new edition. And so really depending on how scope and sequence of the content changes might determine when that occurs. You'll see usually every 3 to 4 years a publisher coming up with a new edition, but it varies from publisher to publisher and course to course.
And so when would we be looking at getting another one?
As we've talked about creating a cycle of adoption, we've done an accelerated work over the last 3 years to get us in a good foundational place. And then what we'll do is create a course cycle, instructional resource cycle. And so you start to look, as we were talking, Dr. Turner's question last time about when do we start looking and when do we start looking at the data. You should, within the first couple years, already be looking at data, alignment, progress for students and teachers. And so generally every 5 years, you should be looking at whether you want to consider a new adoption.
Okay. And the public can look at this book?
Yep.
Okay.
No matter what resource, we always make sure it's in Suite 5 at the new administration building. In instructional services, we have a counter there where all the resources are for people to look.
Dr. Turner?
That big brick book, that was heavy. I had to put some strength with it. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate that. Beyond the core content in the exam preparation, can you lean into the pedagogical approaches that the book leans towards and just slightly answer how our teachers are prepared for this new textbook?
So when we get a new textbook, and when someone is brought to an AP course for the first time, we send them to College Board training. If someone's already been teaching AP and there's an update, we send them to training. We also will give them, if there's specific training that comes with the resource, we will send them to that training. What I believe we're doing is providing them some time to, in this particular one, is there PD that comes with it? There is not PD that comes with it. The college texts are very traditional. They're laying out content that students can read ahead of learning and after learning in terms of what happens in the classroom. So the teachers are really designing the day-to-day experiences of how students are learning the content. This is a reference resource that provides problems as well as content for kids to reference before they learn something or after. And so it's up to our teachers to craft what the daily learning is like, which is different than some of our resources which actually come with daily lessons like Wit and Wisdom and illustrative mathematics that has actual lessons and units of study. Does that help answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I am interested in understanding how our AP Calc students are doing. I recall that we have a large number of students taking AP courses, which is great, and that we have a large number of students who take the AP exams, and we have a large number of students who score 3, 4, or 5 on the exam, so that's all great. But I would love to be reminded what our actual data is ahead of considering new curriculum.
Yeah.
One. And you don't have to do that right now because I didn't ask you that in advance, but maybe in advance of voting on this, I'd like for someone to get back to me on that. And then I'd like to understand if we're doing well, and the data continues to demonstrate that we have a large number of students taking AP courses, taking the test and passing the test, then I'd like to understand the thought process in recommending these materials as opposed to whatever the last edition is of the old materials. So I'd like to understand what, are we switching, you know, altogether publishers? Like, is there a newer version of the text that we were previously using, which supports the high, you know, results that we're experiencing for our AP students? You know, what's the reason for the change?
I will make sure that we get you some updated dashboard information on our AP tests and our percent at each building, how many tests and all of that kind of stuff. When we think about switching publishers, so generally, if you've already approved a particular resource that's aligned to our standards and our learning intentions, getting a new version of that same book, for example, doesn't necessarily have to come for board approval. So if we believe that our current text that we've been successful has a new version that will also meet our needs, we will move forward with that version. We did that similarly for AP Biology like 2 years ago. But when it becomes, we desire that the new version of that doesn't fit where we are at, we will make sure we're looking across different resources, and then we'll choose the best publisher that we think aligns to our work. That would be a short answer to that question. I hope that answers.
Any further questions? Thank you for this presentation. Look forward to that update between now and the next board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next I would like to invite Mr. Luke Cadeau, Assistant Director of Facilities, to the podium to share information on the planned truck replacement request from the Facilities Department.
Thank you, Dr. Coffin. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here on behalf of the Facilities Management Department. Like Dr. Coffin stated, I'm here to discuss the 2025-2026 fleet replacement plan. Currently up for replacement are 4 aging vehicles due to wear and tear, excessive repair costs, and operational inefficiencies. Going forward with our fleet, my big goal is to focus on increasing year-round use, having functionality with all of our vehicles, reducing downtime, where like currently some of the vehicles we're replacing, unfortunately, their life is spent sitting. They're only used for one function. I like to utilize the vehicles to its full capacity. Also, we like to enhance safety, environmental responsibility, and cost efficiency. For example, going away from diesel, which burns dirtier than gasoline, going away from diesel because of the cost of repairs, where gas repairs are cheaper. And then also, gas is cheaper for us to purchase in bulk versus diesel. On this slide, these are just pictures I got off Google, but this is kind of like what we're looking at purchasing. We're looking at replacing our 2008 utility truck with a new utility truck with a plow on it. So it's going to be utilized not just in the regular school season, but also during the winter season. And also replacing our 3 stake lawn trucks. To give you a visual, those are dually trucks, kind of like the dump truck in the picture with flat beds. But we're going to replace 2 of them with utility trucks with plows. So again, they're going to be used year-round. And then replace 1 of them with a dump truck, which will be used as a salt truck, a dump truck, and a plow truck. They'll have multiple uses. Again, we're trying the utility trucks. They're used year-round for work orders. They're used for plowing. They're used for transporting facility crew members and tools and supplies to all the schools. We're looking at getting more functionality versus, like I said before, we have trucks that just sit. We only use them for in the winter, or we only use them in the spring for XYZ, trying to get to where we have more functionality. So,
Are there any questions from board members? Mrs. Smith?
I'd love to see new trucks. It's embarrassing to hear what we have gone through with the vehicles that we have. Can't drive forwards or backwards. When you turn the corner, stuff is falling out. Sunroofs when there aren't sunroofs. This is a premier district. This is not one of these other districts on the other side, Tri-County area. Let's make sure these are working vehicles, that they don't have to stop them with their feet, because apparently there's no bottoms in them or whatever. Let's make sure that these plows, I have heard over the years of principals getting outside and shoveling snow and parents doing it. Let's just not get this because they look good. Let's make sure that these kids are safe when it's snowing. Let's make sure there is salt out there. And these teachers and these principals don't have to worry about falling, going in, or coming out, and our parents. You know, we should not be having vehicles this old, and we're not a broke district. And I don't want anyone to come, and this is not a reprimand. This is just a concern. But I'd like for this district, before things start rotting out and getting old, to come and take care and do your due diligence and do what's right by this district, do what's right by the superintendent, the staff, the parents, and these students. Thank you.
Good evening. You had mentioned in the previous slide operational inefficiencies. Could you just clarify what that means, please?
Yep, so example, so the 3 stake and lawn trucks, currently, we use them for salting and plowing. Rest of 90% of the time, they're sitting because we don't have use for them outside of that. Like once in a while, when a tree falls down, we can use them to transport the tree and stuff. But it's not assigned to someone, used on a daily basis. Where these utility trucks, they're going to be assigned to someone. They will be used on a daily basis. And that's where, yes, the 2 dump trucks, they're not going to be used on a daily basis, but they'll be used more for mulch, sand, and then we can eliminate, because they can hold more salt, we can eliminate having extra trucks sitting around to where we'll have 2 dump trucks with salt and plows. It'll give us about, with one of our pickups with the salt, it'll give us about 9.5 yards of salt, where we're currently operating at 7.5. So.
That's helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mrs. Heinrich?
Yeah, I appreciate the replacement schedule that you supplied for us, because that gives us the overall picture. And it looks like we have quite a few aging vehicles, and so this is a good thing. I guess I want to compliment the district for, a 2005 and 2008 trucks. They're 17 and 20 years old, so you've done a good job maintaining them. But it looks like we have a good plan in place, and I like your vision as far as replacing them with more versatile trucks. And just to clarify, we do all of our own snow removal with all of our buildings.
Correct. Right now, we do all of them except for the 2 high schools, and it was because we were short on trucks. Once we start getting the trucks repaired or replaced, it's going to come back all in-house.
Okay, so that'll be a savings too, being able to
Yes.
do that. Okay, so yeah, this looks like a good plan, and it looks like we have a good, moving forward, you have additional replacement vehicles on target.
Yes.
And, we're able to plan ahead, so thank you for that.
Thank you all confirming this is allergies. Didn't take my Zyrtec this
Viruses.
Yeah, really.
And, sorry, apologies. I'm not sick. Okay, thank you for that presentation. We will now move to the next item, which is review of OCSBA amendment to bylaws and resolutions. And I can take this one really briefly. The OCSBA has proposed resolutions and changes to our association bylaws and resolutions, and that requires a vote of member districts. We are a member district. They are submitting proposed amendments to both the association bylaws and resolutions for our consideration. The bylaws changes requires at least 40 calendar days for members to vote, and so our window to vote is by June 6th, which is why this is coming to us now, because we need to vote before our next meeting, or by our next meeting. The proposed changes to both the bylaws and the resolutions are in your board packet. With respect to the bylaws, there is a very easy at-a-glance review, which is only like 3 or 4 pages. And then there's one that gives you the changes in its entirety along with the rationale, and the same goes for the resolutions. I've looked through these. There are a lot of pages, but most of these are grammatical errors, corrections, removing duplications, bringing things into alignment, and conforming to common practice. So I didn't have any issue with these, but I encourage you to review, and we will vote on these at our next board meeting. Thank you. With that, we will now, if there are no more questions on that piece, no? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to point out the difference between bylaws and resolutions. And so the resolutions are just positions that I think the Oakland County School Board Association supports, and it goes along with our government relations committee and our advocacy, and they're aligned with the Michigan Association of School Boards also. And so it's just clarifying the resolutions and amending the things that we're supporting.
Just clarity, President Weems, these are on for tonight for action?
Oh, they are?
Yes.
Yep.
That's been the
and
past
okay.
practice.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Yes. Any further questions or comments? All right, then we will move to our next item, which is public comment. I was looking for my public comment card, but I'll just advise, thank you. This is your second and last opportunity for this meeting for public comment. If you'd like to make public comment, please fill out a card at the back of the room and bring it to the ceramic bowl in front of Colleen Scripture. Each person will have 3 minutes to make their public comment. We encourage you, if your public comment refers to a person or a student, to please refrain from names where privacy would be more appropriate. And please address your comments to the board. With no further ado, we'll start with Henry Francis, is the first one I have in my hand. Followed by Kelly, I know your last name, but Burgoyce, thank you. And then finally, Robert Gaines.
All right, good evening, board members. Hope we're all doing well tonight. I'm here, of course, on behalf of Hackbots. I know last meeting that some things were discussed about a new addition to Farmington High School that would go in place for the robotics team. And I just wanted some clarifications that can hopefully be addressed sometime after this meeting. The big thing is I hear that the goal behind the field space is to have it be multi-purpose. So we're using it during the school day, and other classes are able to work in there at the same in the same space, and then at night, Hackbots is able to use that as our full field. Some of my questions are having to do with what multi-purpose actually means. So when we're talking about that, are we saying, there's going to be a full field set up and the classes are going to work around that equipment? Or is it going to be every night we have to move desks out of the way and set up our own field elements and get our robots situated? Because obviously we would much rather have it so that when we set something up, it can stay there for a couple months at a time, and we're not having to spend half an hour to an hour setting up and tearing down every single night. And then my other question is whether or not there is a plan to purchase a full robotics field, or if it's just going to be a space large enough for that. And what I mean by that is, if you've seen us compete in one of our competitions, we obviously have field barriers that give us a little bit of a boundary, and there are options for teams to be able to purchase that. One of the most popular ones is by a brand called Andy Mark, and that's the one that the Livonia STEM facility currently uses. So we're obviously inclined to use something that we know obviously works. And I was just looking at it the other day, and we would need to increase the amount of money going towards this renovation by less than 1% to accommodate a full field with the actual proper safety measures in place. So those are just the things that I'm a little bit concerned about and would like a little more clarification, so that way the students and the staff are all aware of the exact direction that this is going in. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kelly Burgoyce, and then Robert Gaines, and then Sharon. Yes.
Hi.
And I won't try. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kelly Burgoyes. I am the president of the North Farmington Music Boosters Program. I'm here to address the marching band purchase that's going to go up for a vote tonight, and just stress how important it is for our kids, for Farmington and for North Farmington, to get these rain jackets. These rain jackets are really old. They're supposed to keep the kids dry and warm during marching band season, when they're doing the parades, football games, because they are not allowed to wear any street clothes or jackets because they have to stay in their uniform. My son was a marching band about 5 years ago, and they were horrible then. They were cracked, they leaked, they weren't warm and stuff, and they're still the same jackets. So that's all I want to say. Just here to let you know how important they are for us. So thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you very much. I apologize, everybody. Robert Gaines, the third.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and board, community members. I love my job. I love what I do for this district and with this district. This is a first-class district. It saddens me to be here today because as a first-class district, for employees who work so strenuous to deal with student behaviors, oftentimes we don't feel supported as support staff. There was a student on March 8th who had a difficult day, and that's par for the course of my job, and so that's nothing special, except this student went beyond having a difficult day in the building. He decided to leave the building and purposely vandalized some vehicles. And as an employee who goes to work and do their job, the concern that I had was, at what point am I supposed to stop doing my job and become concerned about personal property? At what point do we continue to support the student above and beyond? I heard all the wonderful accolades, and I thank you for including support staff in the recognition of Teacher Appreciation Week. I greatly do appreciate that. But the concern is, as a support staff, most of us don't make above $35,000 a year. Many of us don't make 30 a year. And so to have to file an insurance claim, not because I was driving, not because I was parked at a local business and something happened to my vehicle, but because simply I was doing my job. And a student became upset and frustrated with me because I wouldn't allow him to do the things that he wanted to do. And then to be told that I need to file with my insurance claim and potentially increase my rates, that's disheartening. Because if I'm valued and I'm doing my job, I didn't ask the young man to go out there and tear up my car. I didn't ask him to have a difficult day. I simply did what I've been trained to do. And I've always been trained since 2007 when I became a parapro and first took CPI, that if a child is damaging property, let them, because property is replaceable. We can't do anything when it comes to the physical things, but just know that as ESP, we're working hard to support staff and students, and we just want to work to get behaviors in a place where they're manageable and for membership. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Sharin.
Hello, everyone. I am Shireen Bakshande. My daughter is a senior at Farmington High School. I am here because I have spoken to Mrs. Shannon at Farmington High School, assistant principal. I have also spoken to Rhonda Henry, assistant superintendent, I believe. And I am here because concerning my daughter and the ability for her to take a guest to prom. The deadline for the prom guest submission was on May 1st, which was last Thursday. On Friday, they wouldn't allow me to submit it one day late. I understand it's Isabella, my daughter's responsibility to know deadlines, but my daughter is at school for 2 hours, and then she travels an hour to OSTC for the cosmetology program. And so she misses out on a lot. She misses out in friend groups at Farmington High School, and she misses out. We even had to stop her from playing tennis for her 4th year because of her commitment to cosmetology. I understand we have rules for planning purposes and so forth, but my concern is that my daughter is going to be going to prom by herself, and I'm here because I would like for you to show some leniency and grace and allow her to take a guest to prom. This will be long forgotten by every adult in this room, but she will forever remember it. It's not an unreasonable request. I understand she was late one day, but I don't think that's unreasonable. She's a young girl. She's going to be dressed up, and she's going to be going to a prom by herself. Her friend group is at cosmetology because that's where she is majority of the time. She drives an hour there and back every single day because of her commitment. And I'm sorry we missed it by one day. I understand rules have to be followed, but there's always an exception to the rule. We're talking about the prom. We're not talking about breaking the law or committing a crime. This is something my daughter is going to cherish forever. We have made plans for this young man to take her. He's an upstanding young man who goes to St. Mary's. And I don't think that's a hard request from a mother. You know, she doesn't, her friends, she goes to school at Farmington and leaves straight to go to Pontiac, which is almost an hour drive. That's a long drive. So her focus is, let me get to my car and go. She doesn't stop at read the billboards where it's telling you where the deadline's in. I never got an email, neither did Isabella. So I'm here to ask to show her some leniency and please allow her to take a guest to prom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just so that folks who are not familiar are aware, generally speaking, we hear public comment and we do not respond excuse me, to public comment. There may be someone who may follow up with you afterwards, but generally at a board meeting, we don't respond to public comment. Thank you for your comments. We will now move to action items. The first item for action is the marching band purchase. This item came to us before as a discussion item, and then it came to us as an action item. We requested some additional information that we asked for before around shipping costs. We do have that information now, and so if there's someone who would like for us to entertain a motion. Mrs. Heinrich.
I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of new rain jackets for the marching bands at Farmington High School and North Farmington High School as presented. The jackets will be purchased from Francis Enterprises at a total cost of $41,531.75 for both schools, which includes shipping and handling.
Support. There's a motion by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mrs. Smith, to purchase new rain jackets for the marching bands in the amount of $41,531.75. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call vote, please? Dr. Turner?
Yep.
Thank you.
Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hull?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
I myself, yes. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The next item is bid pack number 17, which is for site renovations at Visions, Farmington Central, and East Middle School. This item was presented to us at our last board meeting. Mr. Walker?
I move that the Board of Education approve the bid award for site renovations at Visions Unlimited, Farmington Central High School, and East Middle School as presented in the amount of $547,250, which includes the 10% construction contingency.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Walker, supported by Dr. Turner, to approve the bid award for renovations at Visions Central and East in the amount of $547,250. Is there any discussion? Excuse me. Seeing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hull?
Yes.
Dr. Blau?
Yes.
I myself, yes. Ms. Williams?
Yes. Thank you. This next item was presented at our last board meeting on the Oakland Schools budget resolution. And we need to vote on either supporting or disapproving the budget for Oakland Schools. Is there a motion, Mrs. Heinrich?
I move that the Board of Education adopt the resolution in support of the Oakland Schools General Fund operating budget for the 2025-26 school year and waive the reading of the resolution.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mrs. Smith, to adopt the resolution in support of Oakland Schools General Fund operating budget and waive the reading of the resolution. Is there any discussion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
I myself, yes. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next two are related to the bylaws and resolutions of OCSBA. Is there a motion for the bylaws? Mrs. Heinrich?
I move that the Board of Education approve the proposed amendments to the OCSBA bylaws as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mr. Walker, to approve the proposed amendments to the OCSBA bylaws as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
I myself, yes. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Is there a motion for the resolution? Mrs. Heinrich?
I move that the Board of Education approve the proposed amendments to the OCSBA resolutions as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mr. Walker, to approve the proposed amendments to the OCSBA resolutions. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Ms. Williams?
Yes, thank you. Motion passes. Okay, next, consent agenda. Mrs. Heinrich?
I move to approve the consent agenda. A, approval of minutes. Number 1, April 22nd, 2025, special meeting. Number 2, April 22nd, 2025, closed session. Number 3, April 22nd, 2025, regular meeting.
Support.
Motion to approve the consent agenda made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mr. Walker. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Are there any reports from board representatives? Yes.
Yes, as chair of the Communications and Community Engagement Committee, I would like to remind my colleagues and our community that our next dialogue is coming up next Tuesday evening here at 6:30 to 8:30, where we will be talking about the ways in which we are moving the needle on student achievement in a positive direction, of course, and having some engaging dialogue around that topic. So we look forward to you being here. There will be refreshments. So that's one piece. And then as our Government Relations Committee representative for our board, I will be representing us tomorrow in Lansing at the Behind the Scenes at the Capitol event. So if there are any particular topics you would like me to address with our senators and representatives, let me know.
Thank you.
How much time do you have?
Really, that's exactly what I was thinking.
All night.
Are there any other reports from board representatives? I myself have about a 30-minute, no, I'm kidding. All right, if there's nothing further, we stand adjourned.
Wonderful. Thank you.